Welcome back to Thailand ChitChat, and today we've got the Pattaya report with Craig McAvenue. I have to say it, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you have any ideas or anything you'd like to know about, please let us know. We have had a lot of responses on our retirement video where Craig was explaining his experience with the retirement home with his father. Let's just get on. Okay, Craig, so how's it down in Pattaya? As I always seem to say.
Yeah, I mean, as those of you that live down there know and have probably seen through Facebook, we've had a few flash floods of late. Although the rainy season seems to have taken a bit longer to kick in, it was almost like a switch was flicked. You know, it seemed to be the 1st of September happened, and September historically is the rainiest month. As soon as the 1st of September happened, we had some serious downpours, which you've probably seen. And, famous roads like Soi Buakhao and the usual suspects, Khao Talo, whatever, were sort of 3-4 feet underwater.
Yeah, I saw one guy in a rubber ring, a phalang, floating down the river, everyone watching him. I mean, how the hell he stopped, I don't know. You don't have brakes in these things.
Well, I suppose, yeah, you always got to make the most out of what's there. I didn't actually see that, but yeah, I mean, obviously I saw some of them, motorbikes, where literally they've been completely engulfed in water, and it always brings up the old question about the drainage down there, and why they are not able to sort it out. I mean, obviously Pattaya being the kind of well-developed tourist infrastructure that it is, and I know this is considered low season, so there's probably less tourists around, but still, all the same, I mean, in an ideal world, I don't think we should be, dealing with those sorts of levels of flooding problems.
Well, I mean, here's the question: where is the worst flooding? I mean, there's no flooding on the beach road, I take it, because that's right beside the beach, so it's going to go into the sea straight away, yeah. And you're above sea level. You're above sea level there, obviously. I mean, you're not under the sea level there, yeah. So where is the worst flooding? Is it on the other side of Sukhumvit, the dark side, or is it where is it?
Well, where I've seen personally, I mean, we do have it in the normal, the light side, if you like, but just a little bit back from the beach. I mean, I have an office in Soi Chayapun, which is known as Soi Bumpy. Also,
yeah, why? Because it's full of potholes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it seems to be. I mean, I'm no expert on sort of road engineering, and I don't know the reasons behind it, but it struggles a lot more than most with potholes, and it also seems to struggle a lot more with flooding. And then also in areas like Khao Talo, you often get a lot of flooding there. That's over on the dark side. I think there seems to be pockets of it in different parts.
Yeah, I mean, in Bangkok, I must admit, I haven't seen. Have you seen it, really? It hasn't been bad here yet. There's been heavy rains, but I'm not saying they've got it all fixed. But what they did do is they've been cleaning the canals. Yeah, the big issue in Bangkok is when the rains come in from the north and it comes down through the Chao Phraya River, and that overflows. But they've been predicting for, I've been here, 37 years? And they've been predicting that if they don't do something quickly, and I mean quickly, by 2030, up to 2050, Bangkok would be totally flooded. It seems to be not unique to Thailand. Until it happens, nobody does anything. So let's see if there's a sea of change, so to speak. But I noticed there's an article that, on with my glasses, Banglamung District Chief Kun Wikit Manarojit, he has been saying that they're tackling the flooding situation, and they're looking at alerting people to flooding to manage the traffic. But when it rains, I think in Pattaya, everybody knows it's going to be a gridlock, yeah. So, and they know primarily the areas it's going to be, so they're looking at doing urgent need for extensive resources to manage the challenges effectively before, during and after flooding incidents. But this is a regular thing every year, so it's like more resources. If they did it right the first time, maybe we wouldn't have this problem, yeah? But it seems to be more resources. However, What they have said, which does make sense, is they're looking at having basically a large water retention basin along the railway road, yeah, for better to manage the flooding. So basically, it's capturing all that water, yeah, and taking that into a big trench primarily and running that. But where do they take it? If it goes into the down to the sea, and when last time I was down in Pattaya, there was huge amounts of roadworks, etc., going on during the dry season, but it doesn't seem to have any effect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any comments. I mean,
No, I really
I just
don't.
don't know. I mean, as you say, it's something which is we'd be in a better place in Pattaya if that problem was resolved. I think, or if it was. I appreciate, acts of God. There's nothing you can do about some of these
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
torrential downpours, and I see like some of the other countries like Vietnam, North Vietnam got hit with a terrible storm recently, and this type of thing happens. But I think in Pattaya, I think people believe that the infrastructure should be stronger in order to be able to deal better with these. But if the guys have got some plans in place, that's good to hear. High season's around the corner. Of course, we don't expect the weather to be as rainy in the high season because it's usually good. So tourists probably won't see as much of it as us locals do. But all the same, the
yeah,
sooner that we can have that problem made better,
yeah. I think on that
the better.
tourism front side, I think if someone's going on holiday to Pattaya, it's not going to ruin their holiday because maybe the
No.
rains go on for an hour, maybe 2 hours max, and then they stop, and it drains away pretty quickly. So it's not like oh my God, we're in flooding. Yeah. Yes, you get flash
It can
flooding.
almost be like a spectacle. They can
Yeah,
always be in the bar, taking the videos. Oh wow, have you seen where I am here? But of course, it's the damage, isn't it? The people, the person who's had their motorbike washed away or whatever.
yeah, and the
That's the
businesses
problem.
affects the bars and pubs. If you haven't got them in before, maybe you have to bring your happy hour a little bit earlier, so they're in the bar before the rain starts, and
Yeah, and
then
get
you
them
lift your
marooned in
happy
there.
hour, and then that's it. What about tourism in general? How are you finding the tourism side in general? Do you find the place is very, very quiet at the moment? Because certainly across June, July, and August, it seemed that's a low season. But it's do you find was it completely dead? How were the restaurateurs and the
Yeah,
pubs and things?
certainly. I mean, the occasional night out I have on the town, roads like Soy Buakhao, which are obviously very busy, popular haunts. Yeah, quiet beyond recognition. Where you're literally coming out of a bar at 10:30 at night, which during the high season you'd hardly be able to walk, let alone, motorbikes and everything else to nobody.
Yeah,
Again, this month, of course, being a rainy month, and like you say, with July and August, of a lot of people, the schools being off and that type of thing. Of course, it's always a lot quieter. But yeah, I do feel it's been extremely quiet, even by low season standards, from what I can see in the areas that I hang out and where sort of a lot of British and other sort of Western expats sort of hang out. Um, and then the big question is though, will we get a big high season? Will we finally see that spike, if you like? I mean, I think ever since COVID, I think everyone's been positive that we're going to get this kind of bumper high season, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to have quite happened yet. So fingers crossed for all the bars and restaurants that it happens this season. I think there's a few factors involved around that. I think the cost of flights are becoming more and more of an issue. I was just saying to you earlier, okay, it was last minute, but I got stung with having to buy a last minute flight to go back home in a week's time to sort some family business out there. But even I think if you're booking in advance, the feedback I'm getting is that the prices are pretty high, and that's one of the reasons why perhaps for some people it's more difficult for them to come.
yeah. I mean, I flew back in July, and I got a flight economy for about 41. but I had to do 2 stopovers. That was I think I flew with the Austrian Airlines, which also linked up with Lufthansa. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah, so there are flights out there. It's just whether you want to go on a flight where you got some stopovers. If you're doing a direct flight, yeah, or stopping in Dubai or stopping in one other location, some of the big airlines they're quite expensive. So it's really just a matter of looking around and not just. I mean, I think I actually went through Expedia, and I was surprised Expedia was cheaper than others. Yeah. So and normally I would
Yeah,
go direct
it's
through the.
complex, isn't it? I mean, the airline industry is very complex. Like you say, there doesn't ever seems to be a one size fits all. And then, of course, different people have different. Like me personally, as you know, I'm from Jersey, and for instance, it's a lot cheaper for us to fly from Gatwick than it is from Heathrow. So even if we can find a much cheaper flight that arrives into London Heathrow, quite often by the time you get across, I think even the bus is about 50 quid now, and then the additional, so you got that additional cost, and then the times the flights arrive, and it's not only obviously Jersey's a bit more problematic because of course you've got to jump on a plane because it's an island, but I think a lot of other people, obviously, if they live in other parts of the country or wherever they come from, these are all things they've got to contend with as well. So I mean, the cost of living is going up everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. We've just been through a period of high inflation. These guys that kind of live in the dark ages that, oh, yeah, I used to pay 300 quid. Well, you used to pay a lot less for a lot of things. That's life. You need to move on when it comes to that sort of thing, and recognize that the cost of living has gone up. But as I say, just some of the feedback I see on the Facebook groups and whatever is that, people are put off by coming here because the cost of getting here
Yeah.
has probably rocketed a bit higher than perhaps it should. But hopefully not. Hopefully it will still
Have you
we'll
found
get
there's
a good high season.
the visa situation for Chinese and Indian? Yeah, they'd basically free visas. Yeah, have you seen an awful lot more of Indian and Chinese, and also I think Middle East as well? They made it easier for people to come here, and it's basically I believe it's as you arrive. Yeah, you get your visa. Have you found an awful lot more Middle Eastern, Chinese?
Uh, I've seen a few more buses floating around, which usually is an indicator that the Chinese are back. I think again because Pattaya can be quite kind of area specific. I think a
Yeah.
lot of the Indians and the Middle East and certainly are more sort of down towards sort of South Pattaya way, Walking Street and Pattaya Thai and that sort of area. Whereas we're more sort of central where my office is and where I go out and the golf society I play with and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't say I necessarily seen a huge amount of it now because again, the low season aspect something to consider.
Yeah.
But whether we will see an increase in the high season, I would guess yes. I mean, especially India, like you say, because I mean, I think at the end of the day, not just are the visa requirements made simpler for them, but they're clearly an enormous market. They're the most populous country in the world right now. There's a growing middle class, as you know. There's more and more people that can afford to come to a place like Thailand, and there's more and more places that are catering to their needs. They've got their own clubs, they've got their own bars, they've got their own restaurants, and it's becoming a very very popular destination. It's not far, is it? I mean, depending on what part of India you're coming from, it can be as little as sort of 3-4 hour flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can imagine that we're going to see a lot of Indian tourists over the coming few months.
And I understand even for European, they're talking about bringing in a new type of visa. Normally, when you arrive, you just fill in a form and you get it when you enter. But they're also talking about bringing a new kind of process, let's say, where you will register and you'll come in through a QR code. Because one of the big problems is when you arrive, you can have huge, long queues to go through passport control. So they're looking to bring that in I believe, in the new year. So keep an eye out on what's happening on that. They're saying that it's not, if you've forgotten to do it, it's not going to be a huge issue. You're not going to get turned back, but it's something to keep an eye on. So it's more electronic, a bit like the UK. When you walk through, you just take your passport, it's a sort of barcode or sort of thing, yeah, or a QR code, or within your passport, or it's through the visa you've received in your telephone. So you just show it and you go through, yeah. So this is what they're looking at just now, bringing
Yeah,
it.
that would be good. I mean, I have to admit, I've found that Swanepoel has upped its game a bit in that
It has,
regard. But
I
of
agree.
course, the trouble is, you're going to, again, we're going from this kind of this many arrivals to this many, sort of, probably not quite overnight, but when we move from the low season to the high season, so it could be problems all over again. And like you say, there's nothing worse, is there, when you've had a 12, 13-hour flight than standing around for an hour and a half before you clear immigration. But
Well, another little thing, a little bit not so related so much to Pattaya directly, but within Thailand. Do you own a dog?
no.
Right. Okay. So I've got two Dougs. One is called Doug, Dug, Glasgow for dog. What we did is a big push just now to do with rabies, and they're asking people to go and make sure their dogs are injected with the vaccination, which we do every year amongst other jabs for the dogs, yeah, to keep them okay, and also to protect ourselves. So
Mhm.
there's a big push just now, and they're saying it's being launched in Bangkok. It was for one of these situations, World Rabies Days, and you should have your dog registered anyway. But the registration is now open for free pet vaccination and sterilisation, which we did because I didn't want. I had one dog in the past who just seemed to drop puppies all the time. Yeah. So they're looking at free vaccination and sterilisation, and that's going to begin on September 2nd and run until September 16th. That's primarily in Bangkok, which I expect will also be rolled out down to Pattaya, because obviously with a lot of street dogs. Now, what we do is we actually go through one of the foundations. So yes, as much as we can get it free, we will give a donation. Yeah, like Soy Dog and other organisations like that. So if you have a dog, you should be doing this anyway for the health of your dog, also to protect
Mhm.
yourself. If you can look for a foundation nearby, maybe you look at using them and make a donation, because they really are struggling to get money to basically save dogs. So suggestion, if you have a dog, get that done if you're not doing it already. And if you want to use one of the foundations and donate, that will help them also with dogs, especially when they find dogs which are with scabies, etc. It's very, very sad to see. Yeah. I won't go on about it. I won't depress everybody about it. So, is there anything else happening down in Paddy? Any events coming up? Because I had a look, there wasn't much coming up probably because of the rains, rainy season. But is there anything happening down there? What's about the golf situation? Is the prices still humongous, or have they come to a reasonable
It's
price?
usually at the end of September, we're okay with the golf. It's the minute it gets to October that certainly last year, I think whilst there was that adjustment with again that kind of tourism did seem to pick up again. I know there was quite a few issues with a few of the societies where, let's just say they didn't feel they were being treated particularly fairly because, once the high season kicks in and you have quite a lot of golfers from places like Japan and Korea who are a little bit less price sensitive, the courses were, were bumping up the fees. And of course, a lot of the societies, their argument always is, well, hang on a sec, we're using you all the way through the low season. When you haven't got many people, why are you treating us like this? But like anything, it's a business, isn't it? And demand and supply dictates the cost and the price of something. So yeah, no, I mean the societies are still operating as normal. There's often lots of golf things you see being advertised, and it's quite incredible, really. I think the scale of golf in this country as a whole. You think you know people that play, and you think you know some courses, and you think you know some societies, and then whatever you think's going on, you can multiply it by about 30, I think, to get the kind of real number. So I believe that's still ticking over. Nothing jumps out at me. Certainly nothing that's on my radar as far as attending. We've had some local based music festivals and that type of thing in recent times, and they seem to be a pretty common reoccurrence.
Yeah.
They're down in Pattaya often again. I mean, people forget. Yeah, it's a great place for us tourists and us Phalangs or us residents there, but of course it's still primarily a Thai tourist resort, and they have all these fantastic music festivals and food festivals, and often there's many things going on, none of
Yeah,
which I
I think they're
bring
going
to
to put.
mind right now.
They're looking at doing something on the pier. Yeah, they're doing some developments down there, and also they're looking at creating what they call an entertainment complex down there, which will include one part would be a casino if that is passed, that law passed, but and also changes in law. there is on this ever-ending fear we've got for the income tax. They're looking at passing some laws within the foreseeable future. Like everything else, we don't know. We have to go through the readings. Yeah, but I think we're gonna cover that in another video. Yeah, in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I mean, very, very briefly as an overview, and as you say, it's better to do it in a more specific video. And once again, caveating this that although I've got the financial services business, this is by no means tax advice, and I'm not a locally registered tax advisor. But the rule that happened was that prior to the beginning of January 2024, as long as you were bringing foreign money in that had been earned in a previous calendar year, it was not liable for Thai tax. As of the 1st of January, it is liable for Thai tax. And the new rule, which is being discussed at the moment, is whether or not actually, regardless of whether you bring the money in or not, you're liable for Thai tax on your worldwide income. Very similar to what it's like in developed economies like the UK.
Yeah.
So again, this is a hugely wide-ranging topic, and obviously it's not always as simple as just because it's taxable means you're going to be taxed, because there's situations where you can negate that by certain types of visas, by having double tax agreements if tax has been paid on these monies. So there's a lot of aspects to it. And actually, I was planning on doing a talk at the Pattaya Expat Club about this on the 17th of September, but unfortunately, due to this family situation I've got to attend to back home, I'm going to have to postpone that. But when I do find out about it, please keep looking on the media, and if you want to attend, I can give a few, as I say, not advice but pointers and interpretation.
I think an awful lot is exactly what you say is the interpretation. There's people are questioning whether I watched one video, and there's a lot of videos out there, but when I watched the video, he did say one thing is there's so much out there that people are talking about, including us, where it's best to go through a formal tax advisor, an organisation who specialises in tax advice. There's things like they were saying in this particular video I was watching that your state pension will not be taxable. But that's a big, big, big thing to say. Yeah? So once again, they were tax advisors, but your state pension, because it's paid, the tax is paid at source. Yeah, you wouldn't be charged on that. But on your private pension, that you would. Other things like we're all getting that bit older. Our parents are passing away. You've got inheritance tax. Or inheritance, is that taxed? Because in Thailand, you're not taxed for anything below 50 million baht.
I believe that's
so. But is that classed as an income? Yeah, as far as money coming in. So there's a whole lot of questions that have to be asked. Hopefully, we can get some answers.
There's one point on that, though. I mean, I'm not denying. Obviously, there are some very bona fide, tax advisors out there as well. But also, I think you've got to be a bit conscious of where that tax advice is coming from, and often going to see the revenue department. I mean, my understanding is the revenue department have some adequate English speakers that are, specialists in dealing with foreigners, and can help you out, and you're getting that advice without paying a fee as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's coming from the horse's mouth, literally.
Well, there's the problem with government departments. A lot of them don't know what the situation is themselves. Yeah. The question is who. Yeah. And one of the bits of advice I got was speak to a tax expert, probably who is Thai. Maybe there's a foreigner that is working with them, yeah. And also look at the double taxation agreement. So we'll try and do something a little bit more detailed. If there's anything specific you're trying to find out about a circumstance, let us know in the comments, and we'll try and cover that. So please state where your home nation is. Yeah, so you from the United States, UK, Australia, or wherever. With a specific question, we'll see if we can get that specific question answered in a future video. So we're just trying to organise that just now. So anyway, that's really about it, isn't it? Yeah, for the Pattaya report. There's not been much happening other than in the low season. So, yeah.
Not a lot else for me. I mean, I did see, as they used to always do on the news at 9 o'clock news, or the news at 10 with the slightly sort of light-hearted finish. I did see there was a celebration at Khao Kiao Zoo where Thailand's oldest hippo celebrated his 59th birthday recently.
Are you insinuating something from that? Are you insinuating something from that?
Happy birthday. I didn't catch the name, but again, thank you to the Pattaya News for that article. But yeah, there was a celebration now to apparently 59 is a pretty good age for a hippo. So
all right, okay,
good luck.
Okay. Well, I haven't reached that yet, believe it or not. But